This is one we can put to the side and we can go to the next. But every issue, as small as a permit, somebody's calling me to get a permit done at their house. That's just as more important to me as working with residents on Senior Island to get the beach open. So let's make a decision today to bring this city together. That's what I'm about. And I leave you with this. Let's do it. And I'm requesting that we make a motion and it pass, open the beaches at 12 o'clock today so we can move on to the next thing. Councilman McCoy, I know you have some concerns that I want to be a champion for you to help fight some of those issues. But right now, it isn't the time to fall apart. Right now, it's time for leadership to come together. It's time for this community to come together. We are a resilient city. Let's show it. Let's not let this break us. And again, to residents, you don't have to go to the barber shop. You don't have to go to a restaurant. You don't have to go to a beach. Hey, you use your common sense to know where you can go and where you can't. But just understand this. The country and the cities and the counties are opening back up. And so this is just my plea to say, I believe we should open up our beaches. And this is just me. Nobody has coerced me to say this. I have not been in no meetings, no backdoor meetings. This is your mayor, and you can believe in this. I'm going to make the decision based on how I feel, whether it's right or wrong. You elected me and I live with it, whether it's right or wrong. But this is my decision today to open up the beach. And if it passes, I'm going to ask that we give this city manager the authority to open up the beaches 12 o'clock today so we can move on to our next issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Whew. I think Ms. Lanier raised her hand first and then Mr. McCoy. Councilwoman Lanier, please.
I just wanted to say, of course, I support that. But I do want to caution you guys. I'm actually on leave right now for an hour to do this meeting. And at 11:15, I have to leave because I do have another meeting for my job that I have to chair. So I just really want to let you guys know that I was not for this meeting being held on today because of the fact that I do have a job and I have to work. So if you can go ahead on and move this meeting along, I am on leave right now and I need to get to a meeting at 11:15. So I do need to be able to make this vote and we can move this forward. So in that vein, we can move this along, please.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lanier. We'll try to limit our own comments, have those comments quickly first, and then get through public comments. Thank you. Mr. McCoy.
Madam Chair, if I can I put out the motion, or are we doing public comments first?
You can put out the motion.
Okay, members, I move that we direct the city manager to open up both city owned beaches as well as private beaches as soon as possible.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Now we'll have a little discussion by us as quickly as possible, then get through the public comments so that we can vote as quickly as we can to allow Ms. Lanier to participate. Any other comments by council?
Madam Chair, if we could go to public comment first before I make any comments.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, would you read the public comments, limiting them to a minute apiece? Thank you.
Madam Chair, Ms. Hall will begin to read the public comments that we have received. And the acceptance of public comments is now closed.
Could she speed read them? Sorry. We're not hearing her.
Okay, Madam Chair, if you will hold for a moment, let me grab the public comments from Ms. Hall.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, we apologize for that delay.
Right. Thank you very much.
The first public comment comes from Mark Kruger. I hope that our city council will execute a plan to open the beach in front of Ocean Mall immediately. We should have opened today, just as the rest of the beaches on the island did. I believe that the city has the capability to open the beach in a safe and well-executed manner. So let's get it done. The next public comment comes from Andrea Roth. All beaches on Singer Island need to follow the same directive. This will prevent overcrowding at portions that are open. Plus, we have many miles of beach that will not overcrowd anyway. Opening the beach will increase safety by giving all residents in Riviera Beach more space for recreation. Next public comment comes from Margaret Toy. Open all beaches, however, close public parking lots. That should do it. Next public comment is from Danny Brooks. I am a resident of Sugar Sands. Please reopen the beach. Palm Beach Shores has limited parking, drop off only. Riviera Beach could do the same at the extreme or limit total parking in the city lot to half capacity. There is no reason to have the deeded walkways blocked as there is no parking available at either access point on Ocean Boulevard. Palm Beach Shores is open from the town beach south to the inlet. The Marriott is allowing guest access. Ocean Reef Park is open. There is no real rational reason that the beach cannot be open. Next public comment comes from Jim Kane. Please do your jobs this morning. Refusing to make a motion or refusing to vote on a motion to reopen the Riviera Beach beaches is insubordinate to the citizens you work for. Further, some of you have expressed opinions that you have the authority to keep the private sections of the beach closed. You do not. The hotels, condo associations, and one house that front the beach own the property above the mean high tide line. The state of Florida owns the land below. The city of Riviera Beach has no ownership interest. If you continue to prohibit us from using our properties, the city will be subject to significant illegal taking complaint from some of its biggest taxpayers. We pay the taxes to live on the beach. We own the property. It's our choice whether to use it, not yours. Next comment is from Angela Nack. Please open Singer Island beaches. We live in a condo with a private beach. We space our chairs very, very far apart, even when there is not a pandemic. The sun and fresh air is the best thing for us right now. People are getting depressed. Please reopen. The next public comment comes from Adam Miller. Good afternoon, Mayor Felder, Mr. Evans, Dr. Votel, Ms. Jacobs, Ms. Lanier, Mr. McCoy, Ms. Miller Anderson. Please consider opening the beaches, the crowded streets and sidewalks that create more of a public health threat than the beach. My wife is high risk and has a degenerative lung disease that is kept in check by regular exercise and clean air. This can be safely accomplished on the beach. We have 3 active children that greatly benefit from the beach. We are shocked and disappointed to see that our beaches were not open. I respectfully ask that you will do everything in your power as an elected official to represent the taxpaying people and open the beaches. We have traveled to Manatee County and Martin County and Palm Beach in order to have beach access. If there is no time frame for reopening the beach, a reduction, prorated amount in property tax should be proposed as discussed. Governor DeSantis' plan outlines guideline principles for reopening as it states protection of civil liberties and maintaining individual rights. Measures. The next public comment comes from Lynn Robertson. Please open our beaches. We pay a lot of taxes to live on Singer Island. Either open all the beaches or all should be closed. How can Palm Beach Shores be open and Phil Foster, but not our private beaches in our own backyard? Just doesn't make sense. Please make the decision to open our beaches. P.S. This is posted on Riviera Beach website. Next public comment comes from Deborah Starks. Good morning. Please, for all the condos with all the taxpayers in Singer Island who move here for the beach, please open our beach. I sold my home. We retired specifically to come to Singer Island and live on the ocean, to spend our senior years sitting in front of the waves on a blanket after many years of very hard work, stress, and anxiety. I fear that this virus will be around for a long time, and the safest way to live is outside. I don't think all the condo dwellers need to walk or drive to a small beach that will have many people when there's a wide open beach right in front of our door. I lived here 40 years ago and came back to the same building to make memories in the sunset years of my life. Please don't make me live it inside a small condo. Thank you for your consideration. Next public comment comes from Holly Rathkamp. Please know, how can it be all right to open beaches on Palm Beach Shores and not on Riviera Beach side of the island? The real point is that there are very few people on the private condo beach, period. This is crazy. There are more people on the sidewalks, not to mention in the businesses, than on our beaches. Our beaches are outside in the wide open space and air and sun. Germs are blown away or burned up. Please open our beaches. Next comment comes from Angela Nick. Please reopen the beaches. We live on a private beach, very few people on it, even before the pandemic. Please, please, please. It's good to combat depression. The next public comment comes from Chris Zetwick. It says, reopen the beaches, listen to the people, your city manager, police, and fire department. The next public comment comes from Hillary Ward. Dear Council, I respectfully request that the council vote yes to follow the lead of Palm Beach County and open all the beaches of the city of Riviera Beach. Comment from Holly Rathkamp. Please open our beaches on Riviera Beach, Singer Island. How is it okay to open Lawrence County beaches, Palm Beach Shores beaches, not our Riviera Beach beaches? It makes absolutely no sense. It's outside, it's fresh air. The sun burns up germs, wind blows and breaks up germs. There are more people on our sidewalks than ever on our beaches. Please open our beaches. The next comment comes from Deborah Wangrud, Riviera Beach City Council and Administration. As a resident of Riviera Beach for the past 23 years, I am disappointed in the non-action of the Riviera Beach City Council. Sounds like they are telling us it's okay for Florida residents to use the beaches adjacent to Singer Island, though Ocean Reef, Palm Beach Shores, and Phil Foster Park, but will make the residents of Riviera Beach who have access to the beach through their residences to go to the county beach and come in contact with numerous people. The purpose in closing the beaches was because social distancing was not practiced. Now you are having your residents and taxpayers come into contact with numerous people through Ocean Reef, etc., to enjoy a walk on the beach. Based on the non-action, it sounds as though our elected politicians do not want to answer to the public. It afforded the politicians with a way not to debate the issue in public. I would surmise there were many individual discussions on the topic prior to the meeting. I would also expect that the average age for the residents of Singer Island is quite old and affording them the opportunity. The next public comment comes from Roger Amadon. Dear City Clerk, in the interest of time, please do not read my letter. My apologies, they sent.
Madam Clerk, never mind. Go ahead, keep going.
Okay, it says, Dear Mayor Ronnie Felder, I am kindly requesting your urgent attention to the matter of allowing our private beaches to reopen as soon as possible. First, I must impress upon you the importance of allowing our private.
Is this Roger Amadon's message?
Yes.
He said not to read it. He wants us to keep moving.
Okay.
Just read the next. And you don't have to read the next. You don't have to say this comment comes from. Just read the name and read the comment. Thank you.
Oh, okay. The next public comment.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I know we're trying to rush through this meeting, and I know that we want to quickly make this decision because Councilwoman Lanier has to leave. But also taking in consideration, we've all made the decision to be here. I'd like for Ms. Anthony to read the names, to read the comments, and to stay how we've consistently done within this board, Madam Chair. So,
excuse me, Mr. Lawson, excuse me. Mr. Amadon said, "Don't read my letter."
I understand, but you also just gave her direction to just read the letter and the name.
No. She doesn't have to say, go ahead, whatever you like, just let's keep moving. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
The next public comment comes from NBN Ocean Drive. The expansive beach on Singer Island is pretty much a social distance beach without the COVID crisis, even during season. I've been out there and normally don't want to set up close to any other beach goer. I personally like a little privacy and is usually available with or without mandated social networking. Lastly, Ocean Reef is right in the middle of Condo Road. That just encourages people to congregate in a very small area due to the fact that the rest of the beach is closed. Not opening just doesn't make sense. Sunshine and fresh air will be a healthy physical and mental therapy to all who have been stuck inside for weeks, and in my opinion, no risk. Occasional patrolling might be a friendly reminder to follow the rules. The next comment comes from Howard Borna. Please reconsider opening the beaches. I vehemently disagree with most of the council's concerns the past Friday. It's just wrong on many fronts to keep our beaches closed. The next comment comes from Dorina Lanza. Riviera Beach certainly has the right and authority to close its one and only beach by the mall, but that is the limit of its authority. The city does not have the authority to infringe on private and state-owned land. Note that, in fact, the municipal beach is the only beach Mr. Edwards EO of May 17, 2020 actually closed. Pursuant to this emergency order number 20-05, the municipal beach will remain closed until further notice. As far as the Singer Island private beaches and state title beaches, which are held in trust for public go, this is another story. There are two issues here, private property down to mean high water line and the state-held property to the east of that line. We will first discuss private property down to mean high water line. The beaches exclusive of the county and city beaches are private property of the condo owners. And John at 5196 North Ocean Drive, down to the mean high water line. The condo owners and John own these backyards. The next public comment comes from Farah Tonos, to whom it may concern. As a young resident of Senior Island, I urge you to reopen our private beaches. It is crucial that the council takes swift action in reopening the beaches and the across to them. There are a host of reasons why this emanates such urgency. Primarily, the health of Senior Island residents is being compromised by eliminating access to the beach. Residents are denied access to an area that will serve to improve their health in this fragile environment that we are currently in. A scientific study recently revealed that of the patients who called mild cases of COVID-19 illness, 96% had normal vitamin D levels. Of those patients who had severe or critical cases of COVID-19 illness, only 4% had normal vitamin D levels. This conclusory evidence includes that 96% of patients who have severe critical levels of illness were vitamin D deficient. Therefore, by denying residents a medium where vitamin D is accessible and they can safely operate, it is compromising immune systems. Next public comment comes from Susan Bennett. Please do the right thing and align the Riviera Beach opening decision with the county. It is time. More problems will be created keeping it closed and opening. The private property portion of the beaches must be governed by the community of owners at each beach site. Now that the county has opened, let's not make any of this more complicated or expensive than necessary. The next public comment comes from Jennifer Caruso. Beaches should be open. This is an open air venue. Sun, seawater, and sand. There is no evidence that coronavirus thrives and spreads in this environment. It's the last place where we should be worrying about the virus spreading. Restaurants, salons, nail parlors, gyms, massage, retail establishments, and malls are all opening. If you're worried about the virus being brought into our community, the last place you should be concerned about are the parks and beaches, which offer a safe environment for recreation for the citizens of Riviera Beach. Open the beaches. I watched the last meeting and it sure seemed like most council members were trying to make political statement against the governor instead of being part of the solution to help get our community opened up and protect our local businesses and workers from economic catastrophe, as well as provide a safe recreational outlet for its citizens. I spent today at Ocean Reef Park instead of my own condos beach. All was fine, Ocean Reef Park, but why shouldn't I be able to use my own beach a few doors down? Crazy. And the next public comment comes from John Miller. Council, please listen to your constituents on Singer Island. Major Josh Lewis and much of the staff put together an excellent plan to keep our citizens safe and under crowd control on our municipal beach. Our 41 high-rise condos and single-family development ask you to please open our beaches. It makes 0 sense since 3 beaches are already open on Singer Island. Please listen to your constituents here on Singer Island. Next public comment comes from Kay Randy. Hello, I'm a resident and live at 2700 North Ocean Drive in Riviera Beach. I would like to request that you keep the public beaches closed since you may have an influx of people who are not social distancing. Those beaches are not set up for that. I think that's the right call and those should stay closed. But I do think that our private beach, which gets just a small number of residents, should be allowed to reopen. We are social distancing at our pools in the building and setting up lounges more than 6 feet apart. We should certainly be able to do that on our private beach. Thank you for considering that. The next public comes from Alba Saria. Dear City Council, Riviera Beach has always been amongst the best communities in Palm Beach. I believe we should join the county in opening our beaches. There is a reason for opening everything together as part of one large community. By keeping our beaches closed, you are telling our residents that they are not ready to practice the guidelines put forth by the CDC of social distancing, wearing masks, washing hands, etc. While the majority of the state is opening their beaches, we remain closed. We are a smart and respectful community, and we should be given the benefit of the doubt that we will use safe practices as we have for over 2 months now. Please trust and be fair to your citizens by opening the beaches now. with the rest of the community. Next comment comes from Ben Starling. As a resident of Singer Island, it is time to allow us to roam the beach. Sun, salt water, and heat kills viruses. Three things found in bountiful supply in our backyards. Please open the beaches. Next comment is from Tom Fresco. I feel that the private beaches should be open because number one, our beaches are never crowded. Number two, we have inherently social distancing even before the pandemic. Three, the public do not have access, no public parking. Four, no beach means that people are crowding our one sidewalk on North Ocean Drive. And five, sun, salt, and fresh air, some of the best natural medicinal remedies. Next public comments comes from Deborah Liberati. Please, 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 open the beach. This is ridiculous. I pay 10 grand a year for this. Hello. Next public comment comes from Barbara Richard. To whom it may concern, as a resident homeowner on Bimini Lane, Singer Island, I ask you to please open all beaches on Singer Island. As a healthcare practitioner, I implore you to allow people to go to one of the best beaches on the planet to heal our bodies. We all innately know this to be true. Fear has driven us to ignore our instincts. Even if more people become infected with COVID-19, do not close our beaches. We, the people, have elected you, our officials, to represent us. Next comment is from Nancy Kano. Decision makers, thank you for your time and efforts you have extended during these trying times. As a condo and beach owner on Singer Island, I have supported your decisions in the past until the one you made Friday evening. I see no need or benefit to keep the private and public beaches closed while those right next door are open. Please rescind your previous decision and open the beaches. The next comment comes from Randall Tuller. Good morning. The city does not have the power to close privately owned backyards. Similarly, the city does not have the power to close privately owned beaches. Private property owners have the right to use their private property. Thank you. Next comment is from Holly Rathkamp. If there is not enough time to read my comment at the meeting.
Madam Clerk, I think you read hers already. Thank you.
Okay. So the next one comes from Marvelous Washington. Thank you to the council persons that put public safety before politics by voting to not open our beaches. Opening the beaches before the Memorial Day holiday will attract tourists from other states and counties, and particularly residents of Broward-Dade County. The city does not have the resources to ensure social distancing is happening once the beach is open. Not to mention, we should not continue to put staff in harm's way. Why can't we wait until after the holiday to open up the beaches to actual residents? There is a reason Broward and Dade counties are not opening their beaches until May 26th after the Memorial Day holiday. Please continue to put people before politics. The next comment comes from Mike. Open the beaches or you'll all be voted out. Stop with the liberal anti-American fear-mongering. Read the U.S. Constitution, which is the law of the land, not your autocratic anti-American liberal policies. The next comment was already read by Councilperson Miller Anderson.
No, she submitted a public comment.
Okay, this is her public comment. Good morning. This is Kashama Miller Anderson. I wanted to put on record that my hesitancy to reopening the beach when we had the discussion on this past Friday continues to center around the concern of doing it just prior to a major holiday when the beach is highly attended. The fact that our county has not seen a consistent 14 days of declining numbers for new cases as outlined by the governor and president to reopen into different phases. Unfortunately, the governor did not leave the decision to local governments to reopen industries such as restaurants, liquor stores, gyms, hair salons, etc., as some have pointed out. So unfortunately, we have no say in that. For some reason, he chose to leave the decision about the beaches to us, so I've tried to weigh the importance of health concerns along with the concerns of those wishing to access the beach. Many constituents from the island have reached out to me via email, and I have communicated back to all of you that reached out to me over the weekend and assured you that I will certainly be open to addressing this issue at a future meeting. The next public comment comes from Donna Martell. My husband and I are in support of opening the beaches. Like everyone, we have been stuck in the house since March, and as long as people keep it the 6 feet rule, we feel that would not be a problem as the beaches here are never overloaded. We also pay taxes for our backyard, which go to supporting the programs at Riviera Beach. And imagine if someone told you that you couldn't go in your backyard. We vote yes, respectfully. Next public comment comes from Glenn Spiritus. Council, the Water Glaze condominium approved opening all beaches on Singer Island. If you do not want to open public beach, at least open the privately owned beaches. Really don't believe you have authority to close privately owned beaches, but to put this issue to an end, please vote yes. Thank you. Next public comment comes from Angela Knack. Please open beaches. I live at the Ritz-Carlton with a private beach. We are never close together. It's good for our health to be outside. The next public comment comes from, it says E.H. Clark Barr. Greetings, City Council. The executive order states that the restrictions still in place are the CDC guidelines of limit gatherings to no more than 10 persons, and beachgoers must adhere to social distancing. Department of Homeland Security identified Palm Beach County as one of 3 emerging COVID hotspots in the U.S. If you think human nature is going to abide by these safety guidelines to minimize the continued spreading of COVID-19, you would be mistaken. The coronavirus death rate is just shy of 100,000 dead American citizens and climbing. No one is advocating telling anyone what to do nor stripping privileges away. Privileged people never experience the type of authoritarianism, and COVID-19 is no comparison. This is about solving the devastating coronavirus pandemic locally and not having Riviera Beach added to the Palm Beach County hotspot list. All epidemiologists, scientists warn the best way to lower unpredictable coronavirus pandemic curve and protect everyone is to stay home or wear a mask in public. Next public comment comes from Kimberly Jackson. Good morning, Chair, Mayor, and Council members.
I'm not hearing you, Madam Clerk. Is anybody else hearing the clerk?
You're muted, Miss Anthony. You need to unmute your computer.
Okay. All right. This public comment comes from Kimberly Jackson. Good morning, Chair, Mayor, and Council members. I too was against the opening of the beach until I heard the city's plan to ensure safety distancing. It seems pointless not to open the beach, especially since surrounding beaches have opened up. However, I continue to have concerns about the resources the city will have to expend managing the beach. My input would be to allow the counties lead in restrictions. We will not be able to fund the management of social distancing and policing the beach for a long period of time. You may want to consider implementing the plan during holidays and weekends, not every day, for an indefinite period of time. At the end of the day, we need to be responsible for our actions. If you determine that beachgoers are not abiding by the rules set forth, shut the beach down. Also, there seems to be a lot of confusion surrounding the notion that there are private beaches in Riviera Beach. This needs to be researched and explained to the citizens. Did we sell our public beaches to private entities? If we did, please provide an explanation on how that transaction happened. The next public comment comes from John Thompson. I had previously sent in a comment about how bad it is to keep the beaches closed. Please feel free to read my comment. The next comment comes from Diana Albanese. Please open the beaches with no or limited restrictions. Riviera Beach is a wide beach and I want the ability to walk and sit in the chairs. I can't think of a safer situation you can provide for your residents than this. I heard the letter last week the beach services is doing, and I think it's excellent. Please open the beach. Please open. The beach is a wide open space, and according to the CDC, the virus does not live in heat or humidity. Why is this simple yes effective fact overlooked? After the hoopla of Jacksonville opening and all of the negative media shaming it, their numbers are fine. There is no uptick in cases. Please open with no restrictions. The next comment comes from Will Robinson. Good morning. I wanted to make my voice heard as a resident of Singer Island. It is common sense to reopen the beaches at this point in time, and keeping them closed is just serving to piss people off. If people want to stay home, then they could stay home. But it is not the place of government at any level to mandate the closure of public property for public good. You can vote to keep the beach closed, but I will exercise my democratic right by finding each member who voted against reopening and making sure they are not elected the next time around. You are supposed to represent us. Open the beach as soon as possible. The next comment comes from Pamela.
Could you unmute again, Madam Clerk? Please unmute. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know what's happening there. Sorry about that. The next public comment comes from Pamela Calabrese. Keeping the beach closed is not based on science or health. It is about control. You are not our babysitters and we are not 5-year-olds. You have been voted into office to represent us, not the other way around. You are there to serve. We are not here to serve you. We, the people, voted you in and we can vote you out. The next one, she sent another one, Diana Albanese. Please
We're just reading one comment.
Okay. The next comment comes from Kelly Babington. I 100% want the beaches to open with no restrictions, please. The next one is from Dorina Lanza. And it says, yes, open the beach. The next one comes from Constance Rappaport. Hi, just casting a vote to open condo beaches, please. The next one comes from Hillary Ward. Dear Council, I am resending this email.
We've already heard from her.
Yeah, you can move on. Thank you, Mr. McCoy.
The next one is from Madeline Irving. Good morning, everyone. We're here again asking the board to rethink their decision of keeping the main municipal beach closed. I can't agree with the prior decisions of the board regarding the closing of the public and private beaches. If the other surrounding beaches had remained closed, then that would be accepted. Unfortunately, this is not the case. If a plan was proposed, then why wouldn't we trust the proposed plan and hear the residents? Safety precautions have been proposed and the city manager and staff work to ensure that when our residents leave their homes to visit the beach, the city thought of them. Please don't be like the prior board and disregard the residents' decision to want their beach open. The next one, that was a repeat, and this one is from Sylvia. Please reopen Riviera Beach. Please open Riviera Beach public and private with no restrictions. And the final comment. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, the next one is from Lynn Robertson. She has said, read my name, and yes, open the beaches. Claire Granowitz said, I respectfully request that you reopen our beaches. It may be a good idea to limit the hours that they are open, or if you think it's wise to limit the available public parking. My personal experience has been that even when Riviera Beach's parking lot is full to capacity, the beach has plenty of room to social distance. Our police force patrols the beaches on their beach buggies and would be available to remind the public of the rules or to notify the city councilors of any issues that may suggest the beaches should be shut down again. In any event, there should be a clear public vote by the councilors so we residents of this city can understand each person's position clearly. And the final public comment comes from Jatelsa Brown. I'm sorry, from Catherine Ruda. My name is Catherine Ruda. This is my comment card for meeting 5/19/20 regarding each opening. I called the mayor's office early this morning. I was surprised to not only have someone answer my call, but someone to make time and have a discussion. An update about today's meeting. She was very patient and thorough. As a citizen of Riviera Beach for 30 years, my mother for 40 years paid lots of taxes and put up with a lot. We champion the city police, fire, rescue, and commissioners. We ask that you please keep the beaches closed until after Memorial Day. Our lifeguards are overwhelmed. Our first responders are overwhelmed. Our police are overwhelmed. Our sheriffs are overwhelmed. Please keep beaches closed until after Memorial Day, as Town of Palm Beach is. We are not ready. Traffic, parking. Please keep beaches closed until after Memorial Day. Like the Town of Palm Beach, Miami-Dade. And get a plan together for phasing in parking, social distancing, etc. Do you have staff to wipe down and sanitize playgrounds on the beach, bathrooms, showers, or parking spaces 6 feet pace? We are not ready to open. That concludes public comment, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Lawson, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Evans, do we have a date yet when Broward and Dade will be reopening their beaches?
We do not have a date when Broward and Dade will be reopening their beaches. From the information that we've heard through administrative circles, as far as city managers and county administrators, they're possibly looking for reopening after Memorial Day weekend.
Okay. So I'll continue with the quick comments then. Mr. Evans, did you schedule any meetings with anyone from the public discussing reopening the beaches? And if so, were there any notes from these meetings?
Anyone from the public? No, there was no discussions with anyone from the public. There was discussions with my peers as I was selected to serve on the beach committee with colleagues throughout the county.
Okay. And you did advise us on the meeting of those colleagues from the county to discuss the status of that. Did you guys take notes from those meetings as well?
I believe some meeting minutes were collected by the county, but I don't think it was any action-oriented items. It was just what some of the options may be.
Okay. And at the previous council meeting, Chairwoman Botel stated she actually went to the county meeting 2 Fridays ago and stated that the city manager sent her. Is this true?
The city manager told me about the
I'm
meeting.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I'd like for Mr. Evans to answer.
Sure.
Thank you.
I provided the information that the county was having a meeting to Councilperson Botel, and obviously, in light of all the comments and emails that we've been receiving as a result of the beach, I said it would be a good opportunity for her to at least watch the meeting at minimum.
Okay. So I guess just reviewing the meeting, Councilwoman Botel stated that she was sent by the city manager. So I just want to know if you had given her direction or a stance to take on behalf of the city when you sent her to the meeting.
No, sir.
Okay. So Madam Chair, when you went to the actual meeting on behalf of the city, your statements were...
Excuse me, Mr. Lawson, I did not go on behalf of the city.
Okay, but your title that you gave was the chair of the city council and that you had been sent by the city manager.
I made it clear when asked by Commissioner Weiss that I was not representing the city.
But in regards to your title, Madam Chair, if you're not representing the city, you were there as Julie Botel from the Tierra building, not as the chair of the city council and not sent by the city manager, Madam Chair.
Mr. Lawson, do you have a comment about the beach openings?
I'm currently making them, Madam Chair, because you made comments to our county commission in regards to your concerns of reopening the beach as the chair of the city council without a vote being taken nor a discussion by your colleagues.
I made it very clear that no
Yes,
vote, I was asked if a vote had been taken, and I made it very clear that no vote had been taken.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That was as requested by the mayor of the county asking if a vote had been taken. But when you went, your comments were that you were representing the council. So that's why I asked.
Mr. Lawson, excuse me, I never portrayed myself as representing the city.
Okay. So my question was for Mr. Evans as our city manager so that we can understand, because I want to make sure that all discussions are had as a council so we can come to solutions together. Whether we're in agreement or disagreement with reopening these beaches, I want to make sure that all discussions are had together as the council, because the preceding Wednesday we had a meeting and that discussion never came up. Yet from your statements at the county meeting, you stated that Mr. Evans sent you to the meeting. So if you misspoke, I understand, but that's why I want to have some clarity before we proceed.
Are you done?
No, Madam Chair, I'm not.
Go ahead then.
I want to make sure that I have it on the record that I am not in favor of reopening the beaches. I believe that as of right now, that we should not be opening the beaches prior to this holiday coming this weekend, because visitors will be traveling from all over the state to come to our beaches here in Riviera Beach. This is going to put a strain on our staff. This is going to put a strain on our residents, and it's going to be a detriment to our community if we continue to push forward without restrictive measures in place. I understand that there's certain things that Mr. Evans and his staff has put together but there is going to be an onslaught on our beaches over the next few weeks. And if we don't fall in line with some of the other surrounding counties that are not opening their beaches, I think we're going to have major issues here in this community, which is going to be a complete strain on this community. So I'm completely not in favor of actually having these beaches reopened prior to this holiday. I would not mind my colleagues supporting a plan to reopen them after the holiday, or to put in some additional restrictive measures to restrict the attendance of our beaches. I believe down in Boca, they've actually restricted the parking. The only concern I have with that is the shopping in our Ocean Mall. I would not want to restrict the parking and then restrict the business that's actually going to these businesses. So I want us to have an additional plan and additional conversations prior to rushing to opening this meeting. We did have a meeting on Friday and discussed, we had a no vote. There was no motion made, there was no discussion. So our mayor did actually ask to have a special meeting this morning where I would have actually liked the full complement of the council to be here and have this meeting tomorrow at the Wednesday meeting. But I'm here to discuss this conversation. So those are all my comments, Ms. Botel.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lanier or McCoy, do you have any further comments before we call the question? Mr. McCoy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Evans, and I've been asked to watch the Friday meeting, and I've been just that busy. I hadn't had a chance to. Has there been a discussion on how we arrived at the beach closure? I mean, for the purpose of the public, because I think we know as members.
I don't recall there being any specificity with regards to the beach closures as part of the conversation on Friday.
Okay, so was this an item that was brought up to City Council for us to make the decision to close the beaches?
No, sir. This was under the executive order that was articulated by Governor DeSantis, Executive Order 2070, that effectively closed the beaches. City staff then followed the county's order to effectuate that on the local level. So it was a directive from the governor's office, and then we came into compliance with what the county was doing in other municipalities.
So if we came into compliance with what the county was doing, then why is it an issue that we have to vote on? Is there a local order that was done by the manager?
The city council specifically asked for a special meeting to discuss the elements as it relates to the possibility of reopening the beaches. So when the city council asked for the meeting to be held, and then the city council, there was not a motion that was proffered to reopen the beaches. And it was abundantly clear in the Friday meeting that it was the board's desire not to reopen the beaches, and discuss that in a subsequent conversation. City staff complied with the desires of the board, the majority of the board.
Follow up, abundantly clear. But
Yes, sir. There was no vote because there was a motion that was requested to reopen the beaches. The motion was not offered, so the beaches were to remain closed. And all the elected members on the board stated their position on the matter, which is memorialized in the public record.
Okay, and based on that, so had there not been a vote, or had there been a split decision, and I think it was 4 members there, had it been, you got 2 that were in favor or 2 that was against it, where would that leave you, Mr. Evans, if the decision had to be made?
The item would have failed and the beaches still would have remained closed.
Well, not necessarily voted, but I mean, if you had 2 members that actually expressed some concerns and 2 members that thought we should be opening, where does that leave you as far as the ability to move forward absent of a vote?
The same thing, the beaches still would remain closed because it's not the desire of a majority of the board.
Okay, all right, good enough. So I just want to make sure that I remind members, last week, Monday on the 11th, I requested a special city council meeting for the 13th, which was Wednesday. And as you know, I had 4 items on there: pandemic pay policy, the PBA, collective bargaining agreement, the local state of emergency, and the last item was phase 1, City of Riviera Beach reopening plan. And unfortunately, 3 of the members of the city council didn't vote to support hearing that item being discussed. So, I think this is something that we very well could have gotten ahead of, because it's not just about the beaches. We have other operations that are pretty much closed down. And, you know, even when we did meet in Councilperson Lawson's meeting, that special meeting on the 13th, I said specifically, I would like to see that we just allow the manager to have that authority as opposed to coming back for a meeting. Even though I voted for the meeting, it just seems like, you know, that's a decision that could have been easily taken care of by the manager. So I conclude with this. I support opening the beach simply because I don't want to micromanage anybody, especially those individuals that have private property. And we know how important that is for all of us, that is adjacent to the beach and they want to be able to access it. And two, I want to see if we can have the conversation on perhaps during your comments on tomorrow regarding the plan for, and I think Council Chair Botel might have been involved in the conversation, the Ocean Mall and the accommodation for those restaurants.
Yes.
Because if we're going to be open, you know, I think at the very least we need to work with the management team and figure out a way to kind of make sure that we're accommodating. But, you know, obviously I don't want to live in fear and I'm very conscientious, but I don't want to, you know, hold anybody to any further restrictions. I think we've all been impacted by this. And, you know, my initial thoughts on it was perhaps we're not ready, but I wanted to at least start the conversation. It would have been nice to have it last week as opposed to after the fact, but nonetheless, we're here now and I'm going to support reopening it so that we can move on from this item. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Ms. Lanier, if you have nothing else, we will, because I know you're in a rush, I will make a very brief comment. I appreciate what the mayor said at the beginning of this meeting. It was eloquent and very well said. I respect the opinions of my colleagues with whom I disagree on this matter. I have the highest respect for Kashama Miller Anderson, her intelligence, her caring for this community, and I understand that this community is highly vulnerable to this disease. And we would never want to put anyone in danger, which is why I agree with the mayor. Please don't go to the beach. If you are a vulnerable person, I'm 72 years old with an underlying heart condition. I'm not going to go lay out there on the beach, and I encourage you not to lay out on the beach if you're in that vulnerable population. I am heartsick at how this issue has divided our community. People on the island against people on the mainland. It feels like 2 years ago when I ran and everybody was trying to secede from Riviera Beach, that has reared its ugly head again. We can't let that happen. We have to be united on this. And so I'm hoping that we can have a vote to open the beaches. I won't say too much because I know Ms. Lanier has to go. So if we could call the question, we don't have to actually call the question. Madam Clerk, we've had a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Councilperson McCoy,
Yes.
Councilperson Lanier,
Yes.
Pro Tem Lawson,
No.
Chair Botel.
Yes.
That motion is approved with Councilperson Lawson dissenting.
Thank you. Mr. Evans, did you have any comments to make about the process now?
Yes, Madam Chair and members of the board, staff will begin removing the barricades on the island, and we should have the beach open by 12:30 today.
Thank you. I think I can hear a roar coming from the crowd out there. Oh no, that's the ocean. I sincerely thank you for having this meeting. I know, Mr. McCoy, we could have dealt with this sooner, and I appreciate that. And by the way, I have told people absolutely without question that you were not available on Friday because of your unfortunate loss of a family member. And I want to reiterate to Councilwoman Miller Anderson that really there was nothing underhanded about this. I think the mayor's concern was to try to get this beach open as quickly as possible today. So it certainly wasn't meant to be underhanded. And I apologize if that gave the appearance of that. Do we have any comments by the city attorney? That was the city manager's comments. Anything else, Mr. Evans? Thank you. Comments by city attorney?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Council committee reports. Statements by the mayor and city council, starting with the mayor.
No statements.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy?
Thank you. I'm going to be brief. Thank you, Madam Chair, for reminding me that I was dealing with the funeral. I wanted to say something about it, and I actually didn't have the intention to say something about it, but some of those emails were quite alarming, and there was there was some very disparaging things in there that I didn't show up because I didn't want to take a vote on the item and I was a coward and those kind of things. And, I certainly respect people's opinion and whatever they want to say, but I think the disparagement doesn't have to be included in your email in order to make a point, and let me tell you, I think I've had the David and Goliath fight for an election, so I'm certainly not threatened by anybody saying that they'll raise $1 million for my opponents, or that I'm here for public service. And when my season's done, I go home. I go back to what I was doing. So, I respect the diplomacy that we can have without the unnecessary jargon and insults. So, but it is what it is, and I appreciate you participating. But I will hope that we can kind of do it a little bit more fine-tuned as opposed to name calling. So thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Lanier, Councilwoman Lanier, any comments?
I just wanted to say that, I was in support of this before, but I also want to ensure that we do have this public health component attached to this beach opening. This is one of the main reasons why I was very adamant about making sure that if we're going to do this, it is done with the utmost caution for public health in terms of people coming to the beach, social distancing, and the whole works, and how we have to make sure that people. I mean, we know that there's going to be some issues in terms of there may be cases, there may not, but who knows? But we do need to make sure that there is going to be an abundance of caution, and also there's going to be a public health component to this reopening.
Thank you. Councilman Lawson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just my comments are that I was fairly disappointed. I truly believe that I have the best interest in mind of all of our residents, and I know our residents believe that they want their voices to be heard, and we've heard all their voices. And we as a council, we can have amicable discussions, we can have disagreements, we can have this dialogue where we may not agree on certain topics, and that is okay. That's why the 5 of us were elected, including our mayor as well. And if we decide to move forward, we will all be in support of these decisions to make sure that it's done in the best interest of the entire community. I'm in all support of Mr. Evans and the staff to do an amazing job. I'm very cautious to the health and wellness of our community. I know Mr. Evans will do the best he can to protect the residents of our city. And moving forward, I just want us to continue to push forward. Councilwoman Patel, I've seen some of your comments that you've been making to residents in support of your colleagues on this dais, and you understanding that we can agree to disagree. We can move forward at amicable solutions and make sure that we work together. So the only announcement that I want to make is that we're currently having a free produce giveaway over at Wells. It'll be running until 12 o'clock. So residents, if you have a chance to go over to Wells, we're going to be doing free produce for our residents today and also Friday. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. I just want to remind viewers that we will be having our regularly scheduled meeting tomorrow. In fact, we have a special CRA meeting prior to tomorrow night's meeting at 5. Am I correct about that, Madam Clerk? 5 o'clock tomorrow, CRA. Thank you, thank you. And I want to remind people, I have asked to continue the feeding program that we've been running out of Valley of Love Ministries. I haven't gotten a response back yet from Flippany, which is the organization that provides us with the food. So if I do get a positive response and we can continue the feeding program through the summer months, I would urge you to contact your school principal and ask that your child's name be included if you do not have transportation to the regular feeding sites. If you've got transportation, then please, by all means, go to Lincoln, go to Suncoast. But if you don't have transportation, then use the Valley of Love and your principal. I think that's it. If nothing else, then we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.